Gamblin style. No,
This is We Have Concerns. What if I did that to you? What if I did that to you?
You just did.
I think I just did. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony.
Yes, Jeff.
Our gut.
I trust it implicitly.
Yeah, that's how we run our business here at We Have Concerns.
That's right. Poorly. And
just through the gut.
Also, it's how I decide, like, I know we have evidence that says one person's the murderer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what.
Yeah.
My gut's telling me it's not that person.
That's right.
And I trust my gut implicitly more than truth, more than proof, more than anything else.
That's what you want from a science podcast. There's a couple of hosts that just trust their gut over anything they may read or learn.
And an officer of the law and government officials. You
That's
just
right.
want people
Go with your gut.
Go with your gut. This feels wrong and I don't like math.
Right. Well, we know that our gut actually has a lot of influence in how our lives go. We're learning more and more the last few decades about the microbiome, our gut health, and how much it influences our day to day. Not just our physical health, which it has a big part in, but also our mental health.
Yeah.
There are studies that link your changes in your microbiome to depression.
Yep.
And other mental health challenges.
We also just learned recently, I think about a week or two ago, there was a study that said the brain has a microbiome, which we thought was not true.
Right.
We thought the brain was sitting up there in its sterile little brain case.
Yeah.
This little bowling ball case that we call the skull.
Little isolation chamber
Turns
up there.
out not true.
No,
not true. We might have a microbiome up there, and all of these little bugs are just affecting the way you feel.
Yes. If you're not familiar with this, these are actual little organisms that live in our gut or maybe our brains, all over our bodies. But what we're talking about today mostly is the gut biome. Mm-hmm. And this is, it can be anywhere from 200 to 1,000 different species, different variations of organism that actually live in our gut and affect our digestion, our inflammation, our health, and our moods. So this is kind of the new frontier of research in gut health and how we can affect that, ways in which these treatments can alter our microbiome, and ways in which the microbiome is defined. There's been some studies that indicate that our microbiome is pretty much shaped by the time we're 3. But that, of course, diet plays a big part in shaping our microbiome, what you put into your body.
Sure.
Whether or not you take antibiotics, and sometimes antibiotics will come into your body through foods that you aren't even aware of, that, processed foods that can contain that stuff. And you can, the act of taking antibiotics can alter your microbiome. Mm-hmm. And also the environment in which you live. So there's a lot of study that very little of this is cultural or genetic. That a lot of it is, there's some of it is genetic, but it is not necessarily it's something that can't be altered or changed over time, even though a lot of it is set by the time you're 3.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is malleable.
Yeah, because a lot of it is, as you're different, you think about different ecosystems, right? And the deal with microbiomes is you're talking about like smaller and smaller and smaller ecosystems that are changed by environment, right?
That's right.
Studies about the fact that, like, if you have a pet in the house, it can change your microbiome. Depending on
that's right. In fact, in very positive ways. Yeah. A lot of people who have dogs, the young children that have been tested, are much more resilient to respiratory disease because their microbiome has been affected by having a dog in the house.
Yeah. So all of these different things, from your diet to where you live on the earth to
the people that are around you.
That's right. All of that stuff is bringing different bacteria and different little microorganisms into your world, and those can become part of you.
Yes. So this is a study that was posted on our Discord by Jelly PB. What's up, Jelly PB?
Hey, Jelly PB. And it's about how Pigpen is the most important of the Peanuts characters because Pigpen is giving everybody's microbiome a boost. You need one dirtbag friend.
You need a dirtbag friend who's just filthy.
You need just one filthy dirtbag friend, and it's not just for when you're going through a breakup or a bad time in life and you need someone to party with. The dirtbag friend is always there for that. But the dirtbag friend is very important for your microbiome as well.
Sure. Well, the study is about friends. This is a new study that was
how you should lick your dirty friends.
I didn't read that from it.
Okay.
Did you read
the whole article?
I actually did a keyword search for lick, and not a single time does it mention the word lick.
Did you look for the scientific word for lick?
Tongueosuppression.
That's right. You gotta make sure you're looking for the scientific word because you know how they are when they're writing these academic studies. They want to get their tenure and whatever. So they can't just say smart. They can't just say, "Give me $50,000 to test licking my dirty friend."
No, this is fascinating study. We know already that if you cohabitate with someone, a spouse, a long-term roommate, that you will start to the Babadook. That's right. A Green Goblin helmet, whatever you live with long-term, you will end up sharing upwards of 15% of your microbial strain in your gut.
15%'s a lot.
A lot.
That's not nothing.
That is a huge influence on your health, your physiology, and your mood, frankly.
Yeah, think about this, man. 15%. If you think about I'm feeling 15% better than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? And that's I'm not saying that the microbiome is as simple as that, but I'm saying imagine a 15% change in anything in your life.
Right. Yes.
To the positive or negative. That's pretty big.
Huge. Yes.
Do I have to start, Jeff? Do I have to swab the inside of people's cheeks when I date them now?
I mean, you should be doing that already.
Really?
Yeah, that's called foreplay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you've been married for a while.
I have. I haven't dated in a minute, but that's my understanding of how the world works now.
Right. I'm joking, but this is immediately, without knowing the details of this is what this top line says to me is holy
it's a big deal.
Is holy shit. And now I'm thinking back on previous relationships that I've been in or roommates or anything like that. I'm like, hey, when I was living with this person, did my taste in food change? Did my mood change?
Yes. The itty bitty bugs that they brought into your life started having their effect on you. Itty bitty baby bugs.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's where so we've known that for a minute, right?
But I never thought about 15%.
Yeah. It can be that high. And, but I was sort of, that feels to me right. Like, a spouse, let's put it in a way that is disgusting for everybody.
Yeah.
You're sharing fluids, right?
Yeah. That's the whole point. That's why you get married. You're not allowed to share fluids before you're married.
No.
You can't
just share fluids with anybody.
No, you can't share fluids before you're married. That's not what the Lord wants. And
no.
You can't even, and when I say share fluids, what I mean is if you've got a Capri Sun and you give that person some of your Capri Sun,
you're married now.
Straight to hell.
You have to propose. That is a proposal.
That's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Make an honest person out of that person.
Yeah. I love the Capri Sun. Oh my gosh. You know what my parents would do when I was little is they would freeze the Capri Sun and then put it in my lunch. And of course, I'm in California going to school growing up. So it's warm. It's hot.
Yeah.
By lunchtime, I got the perfectly melted Capri Sun with some hints of ice still in it, like a slushy. It's a slushy Capri Sun. It was the greatest.
That does sound lovely. And to me, the lovely part of that is just that your parents thought to do it. That's the lovely. Yeah. That's the lovely part of it. I always disliked a Capri Sun as a kid because not enough juice.
Yeah.
Literally not enough juice for the squeeze.
You're right. They were not large enough, but I loved them so very much.
Everybody loved them because it's like you got to pierce the the bag.
Oh, the piercing was so fun.
You got to fully squeeze it in a way that you couldn't squeeze a juice box all the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this. Not enough juice. I was always thirsty. I always wanted like 2 or 3 Capri Suns at once. And my mom was like, we're not buying. These things come 12 in a case and you're drinking 3 at a time.
It's liquid gold you're slurping down.
It truly is.
But, I a couple of times took the Capri Sun to the school. By the time I drank it, it was lukewarm to warm. And that's no good. So we froze them. It was delightful.
I love that for you.
Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about the fact that it made sense to me that you share a lot of your microbiome with someone you live with for a long time. You're a spouse, somebody that, the stuff's rubbing off.
Yeah.
Here's what this new study that Jelly PB talked about, posted a link to in a journal Nature, just came out. We have now determined you share microbiome with just people you hang out with. It doesn't have to be spouses, cohabitors, fluid sharers.
Mm-hmm.
Just folks that you hang out with. If you spend free time in the presence of other humans frequently, you can share as much as 10% of your microbiome with them.
That's only 5% less than somebody that you live with.
It's incredible to me. You don't have to be with them every day. You don't have to be with them for long periods of time. You just have to hang out periodically. Your friend group is sharing baby itty bitty baby bugs.
But I don't want that.
Yeah.
Or so not only do I want that.
You're not only going to be swabbing potential mates, Anthony. You're going to be swiping left or swiping right in their cheek. You're also going to be doing that just for somebody to maybe get a beer with or have a coffee or go on a hike. Just a friend. Now you got to worry about swabbing them too.
Do I want this or do I not want this? I mean, my gut, my metaphorical gut tells me that I probably do. I probably want the more people you hang out with, the more varied your microbiome becomes, probably the healthier you are. I would imagine the more different bacteria you have in your microbiome, the more resistant you are to particular things. But then I think about, what if I hang out with a bunch of weirdies?
Yeah.
What if I hang out with a bunch of weirdies and sickos?
Yeah. Well,
am I 10% weirdy and sicko now, Jeff?
I think that's true. And the bummer is that those are our preferred relationships.
Yeah. I love a weirdie and a sicko.
Yeah. We're into that.
What if I'm dating or hanging out with or socializing with a bunch of people that I look at them and I consider them physically weak?
Uh-oh.
Does their weakness literally spread to me? As the Green Goblin said, you can't surround yourself with weak people.
Yeah.
Because they'll make you weak. Is that real?
I mean, here's the problem. Here's the big problem.
Okay.
We don't know what a healthy microbiome looks like.
Right. We just know that it's there.
We know there is one. It's possible to achieve a healthy microbiome that has positive effect on your mental health, your physical health, your resiliency to disease.
We've talked about a couple limited studies where we know that some sort of physical issue is caused by an imbalance in the microbiome, right? Like
That's right. Usually it's inflammation. Inflammation is the biggest thing that is swayed by your microbiome is it sort of controls inflammation.
Right. And we've talked about like specific things. Like, honestly, one of the things I think about is the fecal transplant that we talked about. Where it's like if you have IBS or Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or something really bad like that, they can give you a fecal transplant from somebody who does not have it with a healthy microbiome, and just getting that bacteria.
It's efficacious. It works.
It works.
Yeah.
And it's the grossest procedure I think we've ever heard of in our lives.
Sure.
And yet it works.
It works.
Because it's just, hey, get that bacteria in there.
The problem is we don't know which bacteria is the ones that are helpful. We're just sort of like throwing on. Dude,
if we knew, we would eliminate the fecal part of the transplant. We would just put the bacteria in.
We're giving you a fire hose of bacteria. And in this metaphor, the fire hose is full of poop.
Yeah. That's the only non-metaphorical part, unfortunately.
That's right. That's right. So we don't know.
But if we tell you it's a fire hose and then you see that it's actually a small bag in a tube, we hope that it makes you feel a little bit less gross about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It won't.
Because we've studied different healthy people's microbiomes, and they can be wildly divergent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like there's one recipe for the healthy microbiome that we can just follow or try to replicate. Because lots of different healthy people have lots of different microbes hanging out in their guts.
Right. And we don't know yet what introducing, we could look at somebody's healthy microbiome, I'd imagine, and go like, oh, they've got a lot of this and this and this.
Right.
And then we could try to put that particular type of bacteria into somebody's unhealthy microbiome. But because they don't have the 50 other bacteria that a healthy person had, those 3 bacteria actually make them feel worse.
It's a cocktail.
It's an ecosystem.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost like it's a microbiome.
A biome.
Yeah, like a whole environment.
Oh, like the Pauly Shore movie, Microbiome.
That's right.
Where those 2 idiots sneak into the microbiome so they can sleep with the hot scientist ladies.
Right, but then they get trapped in the microbiome.
Right, and it's very funny and cool, and it ages extremely well.
That's right. There's nothing objectionable about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you about how this study was conducted, because I think it's interesting.
Okay.
How do you find out if the people around you affect your microbiome? Well, you want to be able to isolate the people around people. You want to go to a place where that is sort of controlled or at least limited. Island.
Small town in the middle of nowhere.
What if I told you, Anthony, that we funded a research project to Honduras?
Okay.
Sounds like a fun place to visit.
Sure.
Honduras, there are remote villages in Honduras. These scientists looked at 2,000 individuals hanging out in these isolated villages where they were basically interacting daily and yearly, all the time, with certain groups of people.
Okay.
They compared different isolated villages to each other. They compared the people within one isolated villages to the other people within their isolated villages.
And I would imagine that also being in an isolated village eliminates a lot of other contaminatory stuff that we have throughout. Not just like, this is just a population that only sees each other, but it has to be something where like, hey, not everything these people get is from Amazon Prime. Everything comes from the same place.
That's right. And their diets are very consistent and limited, right? So you're not dealing with people in, Western culture who are, one of the studies I was reading about, they were looking at Tibetan immigrants to America. Okay. Whose microbiome wildly changed when they got here.
Oh, I don't imagine so.
And they attribute it to the food.
Dude, you have one dinosaur-shaped chicken nugget and you're contaminated forever.
That's right.
Like literally, I can't imagine somebody coming from one of these villages where like they know the name of the chicken that they're eating every day, you know?
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah. They raised it.
They raised it or, you know, they know the farmer that they get that stuff from. They know the one shop in town that has the produce, whatever it is. And then they get to America and they land and it's like, yo, this chicken is shaped like a dinosaur because it's only about 50% chicken at this point.
Well, and it's also 50 chickens.
Yeah, it's 50 different chickens.
Yeah.
Reduced and smashed down and then added so many different textures and chemicals and things added to it to make it taste like one chicken again.
Yes.
And then shaped like a dinosaur because it's fucking fun. Welcome to America.
Hey, have a good time. You don't need to think about the creature this once was. You can think about a different creature that lived millions of years ago.
You're eating a pterodactyl, baby.
Come on. How much fun is that?
That's fun. By the way, your gut is destroyed now forever. One chicken nug and a Slurpee and you're done.
They were much more given to obesity after having moved here.
Sure.
And they don't attribute that just to diet, but that the actual microbiome is sort of teeing you up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, obviously it is diet, but they're saying that your microbiome is changing in a way where you're not even processing food the right way.
That's right. You're less resilient. There's more inflammation. You're less resilient to obesity. You're honestly like more inclined. We're seeing things about how there's cell memory for obesity now that like the cells remember.
Yes.
It's wild.
The longer you are, and I mean, this is the way that a human body has always worked. We're just learning about how complex it is, but it's like the longer you live in a specific way, the more your body tailors itself to live in that way. We've always sort of known that, right?
Yeah.
And now we know that it's happening just literally at a microbial level. So, hey, if you're trying to change anything about yourself, don't. It goes so far down. You're done. Yeah. You're over. You're cooked, dude.
You're already how you're going to be.
Yeah. It's tough.
You gotta live with that.
And listen, like we just said in the beginning, that starts at the age of 3, baby.
Yeah.
Whatever bacteria your parents are serving you up on a spoon.
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck, fucker.
That's so bleak. Anyway, these are scientists from Yale University. They traveled to the jungles of Honduras and they visited 18 isolated villages. These are villages where interactions are mainly face to face. People have no exposure to processed foods and antibiotics.
And they brought them all kid cuisine meals.
And they're like, have these chicken nugs. Look, they look like little pterodactyls.
If you finish your pterodactyl nugs, you can have one weird uncooked brownie.
We brought a bag of Skittles.
It's the one weird uncooked brownie is in the center of the kid cuisine. And it's weirdly mushy, but not mushy. It's like a little rubbery, but also just slimy. And it has 3 pieces of peanut on it.
Yeah, you're going to love it.
Arranged on top.
That's your treat.
It's either overcooked or undercooked every time.
They went to these isolated villages and asked everyone to share their Capri Suns.
Mm-hmm. And they said, there's not enough juice. There's like 18 of us in this village. There's like 250 people in this village. You want us to share 7 Capri Suns? Can't even get this thing open.
So check this out. If you hang out with people, we already said this, 10%.
Which I never do.
Yeah, smart. See, turns out to be a real wise decision for you.
I don't know if it does.
The folks in the isolated villages, Hondurans in the isolated villages, who spent free time together, shared up to 10%. They said about 10% of their microbiome.
Okay.
The researchers find the people who lived in the same isolated villages, but didn't hang out.
Yeah.
So these are, not huge cities. These are small isolated villages. They just,
the one weird guy in the village
didn't like that dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go over to that side of the hut or whatever it is. Yeah. I'm not going to hang out with you.
That dude's part of the village, but he like his house is just like a little farther away. And they're all like, yeah, that's
too far.
That's Dave.
And there's no parking.
He's kind of weird and he sucks.
I'm not going to go all the way over there. There's no parking.
Yeah.
On the way back, there's lots of traffic,
Yeah. You got to pass, you got to pass the 12 sheep on the way back.
Yeah, that's right. There's like 4 people on the path.
Yeah, dude.
On the way back, there's so much traffic.
If those sheep are done grazing for the day, oh my God.
Yeah.
You got to get in before 5 p.m. because that's when they really start grazing.
You do not want to get on the path from Dave's after 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
No, but maybe Dave's just not a very social guy.
That's right. It wasn't even like it wasn't a ostracized person in there. It's just like not hanging out with each other.
The dude that doesn't want to go to the party.
That's right. If you don't hang out with someone, but you live in the same isolated village, you share approximately 4% of your biome. So that's a 6% difference just in spending time chatting, socializing.
Wow.
You don't know how it's transmitted necessarily because these people aren't swapping fluids. They aren't sharing Capri Suns. They're just talking.
Nobody was licking anybody, like not even once.
They didn't see a single lick. As I said, I searched. I did the find and replace feature in this article, and I didn't see a single word lick.
All right, that's fine. I think they're withholding important data, but that's all right.
Yeah. So this is just social contact.
Mm-hmm.
And, they think that this can have a huge effect on gut health. So the kinds of people you hang out with affect your microbiome. Now, I immediately think, oh man, they're messing up my biome, but it can absolutely be the opposite.
Yeah.
It can absolutely be beneficial to you.
It's like what we were saying earlier, where it's like, hey, maybe the more indifferent bacteria you have, the more resistant you are to things.
Yes.
Maybe the more you have, particularly, you may have a deficiency genetically in your microbiome, or because of the way you were raised or your early environment, whatever. You have a deficiency, and hanging out with somebody is actually giving you bacteria that you need.
Diversifying it. Yeah. Yes. There was actually a study that compared people in high fiber diet areas and in other countries that have a much higher fiber diet than Americans do. And they found that they were on the upper edge of 1,000 different microbiome species, microbes in their gut, where Americans hover between 200 and 300 different varieties.
Dude, we're losing out on 70% of a microbiome here.
That's right.
That's wild. We got to diversify our portfolio, dude.
So I think the goal would be to just get into different groups of people and lick away.
Yeah, man.
Just lick as many different kinds of people as you can.
Yeah. Think of it as like, those people who, when they go to different states and different countries, they get like a little shot glass or something.
Yeah.
Collect yourself some germs.
Really? It's the decorative spoon of biology.
That's right. You just go and you go to a new country and you land, and first thing you do at the airport, when they're like, welcome to Germany, you go, thank you. It's an honor to be here. And then you lick their face.
That's right.
And
I like this plan.
Yeah, you got to do it. And I think that's the way to make it happen, really.
Yeah.
To really diversify and cure our microbiome, which is what a lot of the advertisements say, is that we have to cure our microbiome.
Sure.
I hear that a lot on the advertisements on social media, as though it means anything.
Well, I mean, it does mean that a lot of these things that we don't think of as being contagious perhaps have an element of that. I mean, I think it would be an overstatement to say that with any certainty, right?
Sure.
We don't know that. But we know that microbiome is connected to mood and mental health as well as physical health. And we know microbiome is shared with acquaintances. So it is reasonable to ask the question if some of these things like depression and some of these other mental maladies or difficulty challenges are actually contagious on some level, are actually shared between social groups. So I do
I do like this to an extent. And I do think this is an interesting to an extent, particularly because, like I come from a Jewish family, and there are certain health issues that are considered Jewish.
Yeah.
Even though Jewish people, all kinds of different genetic backgrounds come from all different, but particularly if you go back far enough in your family history and find a European Jew, an Ashkenazic Jew, you tend to have, mostly it's like stomach issues and things like that. It's called it's one of the first things a doctor will ask you if you have like stomach and digestive issues. They'll be like, hey, do you have Ashkenazi Jewish blood? Like, are you
right?
And I do wonder, because a lot of like stomach and digestive issues, I mean, it feels like it would be so connected to the microbiome, right? It feels like, oh, of course it would. Why wouldn't it be? I wonder if having, and growing up around your family and then a Jewish community and all this stuff, does that affect it? But also, it's got to be from thousands of years of genetics too, right? Ashkenazic Jews are from mostly Eastern Europe, right? And there was, a lot of small towns, small villages. Like, let's be honest, there's a lot of inbreeding, right? A lot of shared, and so just like any other culture, you get certain things that pop up in the genetics from thousands of years. And so I do worry about people, not the scientific community, but I do worry about the average person and the average grifter latching on to this.
That is the worry, right? Is that it sounds like something that's going to lead to a lot of hokum.
If you can just eat the right yogurt, you won't be depressed anymore. And it's like,
or don't hang out with that group of people because they're making you depressed because their microbiome is, I do feel like the danger here, but that's with everything, right? Is that someone can take something that is sort of scientifically sound and maybe suggesting areas for more study and just leaping ahead 14 paces and going, well, now we gotta, now you need the crystals.
Sure. We walking around a cruise ship and watching those poor people wearing 18 magnets on their face and yakking over the side of the boat,
Right.
Yeah, I do worry about that. I think when we first started this show, the big thing at the time was your telomeres in your DNA. Right.
Yeah.
Those things that we called the caps on the end of the shoestring of your DNA, and how it frays as you get older. And
that's how long you'll live and how healthy you'll be in old age.
What can you eat and what can you add to your diet and what supplements can you buy that are going to lengthen your telomeres? And it's like, okay, well, hold on. That's just one factor.
Right.
It's one factor that we understand now, and there might not be anything you can do for it.
Right. And it might be a symptom or a side effect rather than the cause.
Right.
That's so.
Or it's one of 100 causes, because the body is a very complicated, interconnected series of systems. So I also, now particularly with my CFS, I'm in a lot of online groups for people with CFS, and it's very easy to see people when they are sick and sad and trying to get back to a regular life, latching on to any new research and any new study and being like, oh, well, I'll take a probiotic and it'll really help. And it's like, well, maybe it will. And I'm not telling you not to do anything that could help. But we don't need to put all of our eggs into the basket of your friend's bacteria is making you sick.
Yeah.
So fuck you and your friends.
Right. Yeah.
That's particularly, I think there's a weird eugenics aspect to this. You know what I mean? That's what really gets to me, is there's this idea of, I'm making the joke of, do I need to swab the people I'm dating to make sure that we can cohabitate? I'm extremely worried about that. About people thinking that maybe.
Yeah.
Or two people 20 years in the future going to a doctor, or 5 years in the future, going to some quack doctor who does swab the inside of the inner linings of their cheek and goes, oh, no wonder you have relationship problems.
Yeah.
You know?
But by the same token, if we find out that those things can be efficacious, like I'm not above the idea of, hey, if we actually, I'd love to learn more about this.
Jeff's
and I think
I will leave my wife. Jeff's
No,
like,
not that.
if I sit down in front of this person and they swab our cheeks and he says, no way. He says, no way.
Sorry.
Bad bacteria. It's never going to work. I am willing to shake hands and walk away.
Actually, not going to shake hands because you don't know how much is going to rub off. We're going to
bump elbows.
Yeah. I'll stand on the other side of the room and say, sayonara.
Yeah.
It was lovely knowing you.
You can keep literally everything. It's covered in your germs.
No, but honestly, if we can actually treat some of these things and our mood and our behavior and our health, our actual physical health can be, if we can figure out a way. I mean, so much of what we are learning is just the tip of the iceberg as far as, any kind of actionable response or treatment.
Yeah.
We don't know. Like, this article literally says it's unlikely there's going to be one version of a healthy biome, right? There's not going to be, we're not going to find like the one true biome that we should all strive for. It's much more subtle than that. It's much more case by case than that. And I think we're just starting the process of kind of coming to terms with what all this means. But
if you genuinely think about it as biomes and you think about biomes, and you think about there are deciduous forests, there is tundra, there is jungle, there are mountainous areas, and they're teeming with life and they work perfectly as an enclosed system, right? Those are all healthy biomes. So to think that everybody would have to have the same biome to be healthy, particularly when people have different genetic makeups, I would imagine that what's healthy for me might not be entirely healthy for you.
And, the fact that this is a biome, we're looking at the bacteria right now. Mm-hmm. Listen to this quote. Standard methods of microbiome analysis favor identification of bacteria and are not as good at identifying other common gut microorganisms. Quote, we rarely see signatures of fungi in our data, but we know they're there, and we know that they're contributing to the overall interaction between microbiome and host.
My tummy fungi?
Your tummy fungi. So we haven't even started looking. It's like we walked into a new biome. We walked into the forest and we stared at the trees, and we didn't look at the fact that there's birds in the trees and there's bushes next to the trees.
Oh, we couldn't see the forest for the trees, Jeff. Is that what you're saying? That we all need to take a little time and hey.
I don't know if anybody's ever said that phrase before, but it seems appropriate here.
Sometimes you need to just, every once in a while when you're walking around, guys, all science is telling you is that every once in a while, look up. You know what I mean? Really take it, really take in. How many of us are really taking in the environment is what science is saying.
Yeah.
Particularly the tummy fungi.
Right.
But that's the thing.
And I think it's not enough either to look at a healthy person, a person that's like, tip top, perfect health might have a microbiome that's doing some very unhealthy things.
Right.
So because that's a subtle.
It's the microbiome plus all kinds of other genetic things, right?
Right.
All kinds of other
lifestyle things.
Things. It could be anything like you think about just the tiniest amount of things in people. My regular body temperature is closer to 96 than 98. And so when I was a kid, until we knew that.
It's because of your cold heart.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course, once we knew, we were like, oh, it's because of this cold heart. But like, I would be way sicker at a temperature of 99 than the average kid would. Right. A low-grade fever in me meant that like I was 3 degrees above what I normally was, and I was feeling pretty sick. Think about something that simple, right? Yeah. And then multiply it times the millions and millions of microbial things running around in your body. And then the other things in your body. Things like things like the when you get blood taken, your levels of different things in your blood, right?
Yeah.
Everything could be different.
And I know the term holistic has become such a catchphrase and it's lost a lot of meaning, but that's the danger with stuff like this, is that you're looking, by the very nature of these studies, they have to isolate one little thing and stare intensely at it. And you don't have this holistic approach. You're not able to look at all the other factors, and it's almost impossible to factor the other factors in.
Right.
But I'm really encouraged that this research is taking place, because it does feel like it has much bigger influence on our lives than we thought, for much of our existence.
Yeah.
And to be able to sort of put attention on that, and even if we make small gains in how we approach our gut health and our microbiomes, I think it could have big positive impact.
Oh yeah. I think I would not be shocked to find, early research kind of has been pointing to the fact that the American diet is just destructive towards healthy gut bacteria and things like that.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised to find that just making some changes there could make us feel better. But the other thing that I think of is like, look, I'm not saying that a healthy microbiome would ever replace medication and therapy. But what I will say is, if we found out that there was something that I could do, a way that I could be eating, places that I could be going, things that I could be doing to promote my gut health, that would lead to me potentially having a lower dosage of a medication or being less resistant to a medication working.
Right.
Like that could be like, I know some people, everybody's, particularly with mental health stuff, everybody's medication affects everybody a little bit differently. But if we could find out ways where it's like, hey, we know that your body is resisting this medication because of this. If you change just these things about your diet and lifestyle, which, we're not saying diet and lifestyle isn't part of medical advice now, but if we could target it a little bit and be like, hey, if you could get, this level of this kind of flora up in your body, this medication might work better for you. Or your pain levels might go down a little bit, and that will help us. That will put you in a position where we can medicate you now that your pain levels and your inflammation levels are a little lower. That sort of stuff, where we can do more physical therapy with you. Any of that 100%. Stuff that's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild to me to think that by virtue of a job I might have, where I'm going into an office or going into a place of employ, and hanging out with the same 12 people every day.
That one motherfucker is leaving his fish in the refrigerator in the break room for days, and it doesn't just smell. It destroys our microbiomes, Hank.
That's right, Hank. Come on. What are you doing?
Hank, if it's still in the fridge by Friday, I'm throwing it away, because
no one touches my fish.
No. Hank, if it's in there by Friday, then you're clearly not going to eat it because you brought it in on Monday and it's affecting my microbiome.
It's still good.
No, it's bad for all of us. You're killing us, Hank, with your goddamn fish.
My understanding, Anthony, is that the best thing I can put in my body is a pint of ice cream and a box of crumble cookies. That's my...
Buddy, listen...
that is my microbiome.
Correlation is not causation, but I find the same thing. It's a very small data size. It's a very small sample size, but I'll tell you this. A little ice cream and a crumble cookie never's done me wrong.
No.
Not that I know of, and I refuse to know better.
That's right. Ignorance is bliss. I believe that's the crumble cookie motto.
I did hear, it's very interesting. I did see a nutritionist, and the interesting thing the nutritionist told me was that the current line of thinking is that your diet, your weekly diet, should include 30 different things that basically grow in the ground. It's a real simplification, but it's like, hey, if you can be eating 30 different things that grow in the ground.
It's a lot. I can't count to 30. How do I even maintain that?
Right? But then you think...
I need like a chart. I need a I need a notepad.
But then you think about it and you're like, okay, so if I buy like apples, oranges, and grapes, I always have in my fridge. That's 3.
Apples don't grow on the ground. They're suspended in the air.
They're suspended in the air. But from what, Jeff? From what? She came down in a fucking bubble, Doug. She came down in a bubble, Doug. What does that make her? Yeah. So if you have those, that's 3 right there, right?
Yeah.
And then if you eat like lettuce and onion and cucumber and tomato in one of your burgers that you love so much.
Yeah. Now I need like 19 more.
Yeah, but you're like, it adds up quick.
It adds up.
It adds up. But it's interesting because you'll find that you're just getting like, and listen, this is just.
What if I bury my box of crumble cookies first?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hear that they do that in Iceland. They'll bury their crumble cookies for 30 days.
Smart.
And pee on them. And then they dig them up and they fermented and they serve the fermented crumble cookie.
I love that. Aged like a fine wine.
Mm-hmm. They actually do that with shark there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do it with shark.
They pee on it?
It gets peed on, yeah.
I want to know the first guy that suggested that plan.
It's a stupid plan. And none of them, I don't think any of them really do it. It's like a traditional thing at this point. I think it's mostly like, let's see if we can get these tourists to eat it.
Yeah, I buy that.
Let's see.
It's like when I was reading this study and I was like, this is amazing that these Yale University scientists went to these very isolated villages in Honduras. And then I thought they just like strolled in and were like, hey, I need to know everybody you hung out with. And also I need to look at your poop.
Yeah. Hey,
that's an odd conversation with an isolated village.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
We're normal. Hey, here's what I want to know, Jeff. Are they hanging out in this village for the time of the study?
Well, they must not be, right? You can't contaminate.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if just by being there, they haven't given these people in Honduras a strange craving for dinosaur-shaped chicken nugs and 19 hours of sleep.
That's very possible.
Just 19 to 22 hours of sleep a day.
I don't know. It doesn't go into exactly their methodology here, but I'm hoping they had some sort of
I would love it if they
some sort of drone,
right?
Some sort of remote. You know how like you can get the delivery now in the little robot with the wheels.
Yep.
I'm imagining that, but it just goes in and gets poop and then brings it out.
Do they poop right into it, or are they supposed to like put it in?
It's like the bomb robot, that goes in and gets the bomb and has it hermetically sealed.
Yes.
It's that, except instead of a bomb, it's poop.
Now, I would love to picture, like you were saying, the perfectly normal and reasonable people who walk into a village and say, hey, what's up? We need a list of everyone you hang out with and also your poop. But then they're also in hazmat suits.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, what's up? It's just us. 2 creatures.
Yeah.
2 insane.
That you've never seen before.
2 insane people dressed like robot aliens. And we're here.
Don't worry. All we want is your poop. Also on a list of everyone you've hung out with.
Yeah.
And how frequently.
Hey, ladies. Hey, ladies, that's a red flag. If you want a list of everybody that you've been hanging out with and also samples of your poop, that's a red flag, ladies.
That's a red flag, but in 20 years, that's going to be called a relationship.
That's right. That's right. I have to know everyone you've been hanging out with, and I need a sample of your poop, and that's the first date.
.com.
That's the first date.
That's the dating site.
Mm-hmm.
I need a list of everyone you've hung out with and a sample of your poop.com.
The dating site that cares.
It does.
A lot of these dating sites are built around just keeping you swiping forever, but I need a list of everybody that you've hung out with and a sample of your poop.com. We want to make lasting matches.
That's right. That's right.
We don't want you, these other sites will have you sharing poop with people willy-nilly.
Are you serious about finding love?
Do you even have that many bowel movements where you can keep up with that? We don't think so. And that's why I need a list of everybody that you've hung out with and also a sample of your poop.com. is here to take all of the horrible, unnecessary, just anxiety-causing parts of dating away. Just one gigantic sample of poop is all we need.
That's all we need.
We'll slice it up. We'll slice it up for you for everybody's doctors. You just send us one giant sample of poop.
Just the biggest one you've got. When you're ready to stop messing around and settle down, give us a list of everyone you've hung out with in a sample of yourpoop.com.
Charlie Brooker, call us. Call us. We're ready.
It's an episode. It's ready to be.
We're ready. We know you don't care about Black Mirror anymore. Let us do it.
Let us do it.
Let us do it. I don't know. I'd love to hear what the concerned citizens think about all this. You can
does it make you think more about the relationships in your life and what you have maybe given them and they have given back to you in return?
In terms of poop and bags? And are those, and was that kid who left the poop in a bag on your porch and lit it on fire, was that a kid trying to play a prank, or was that someone with a crush on you? What do you think? You can let us know on the Discord.
If you had looked in that bag, maybe you would have also seen a list of everyone they've hung out with.
That's right. You could have thrown your love away. You could have stomped your love away right onto the bottom of your shoe.
That's right.
You can talk about this and other useless garbage over on our Discord.
Hey, but not just anybody gets to hang out in our Discord. No. It's an exclusive club. We need everyone you've ever hung out with. No, all we need is a single US dollar per month. It's so inexpensive. Really, the lifeblood of our show, and yet such a small ask. One single dollar per month gets you into that Discord, supports the show, makes sure we continue. For more US dollars, if you've got a little extra scratch to head our way to show your support and your desire to hear more delightful stories like this one, well, you'll get extra cool stuff. Head over to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns to find out.